This was back in 2013, when I was based in Holland, British Marine for context. I had been married to my wife for a little over 18 months when I deployed to Afghanistan. My wife had a job in the British delegation on base and got to know pretty much every Brit and their husband-wife. One day, we were directly targeted by a vehicle-borne IED. Now, whilst it wasn't uncommon for there to be a threat to coalition forces in general, being directly targeted felt more personal for obvious reasons. That was also the day I found out about an RAF guy back in Holland had tried it on with my wife. I found him on Facebook, and still feeling rather raw about Terry trying to blow me up, messaged him words to the effect of, "If you go near Mrs. von Scranhammer again, I will put glass in your throat the next time I'll see you." The next day, one of my bosses, who was also RAF, messaged me on Facebook to say that this guy has been over to his office and basically tattled on me. He gave me a friendly warning heads up that this guy could have gone to the MPs and reported me. I have no idea what would have happened, but I'll acknowledge the warning and said it won't happen again. My boss had my back and actually told him to wind his neck. Fast forward to when Elle got back from Afghan. A few days had passed, and Elle was starting to settle in to a normal life again. My wife brought it up, after explaining she didn't mention it at the time due to my reaction the first time, that an Army Sergeant Major had tried to message her via Facebook. He told her she was beautiful and wanted her number. She promptly blocked him. I was pissed off to say the least, but I understand why she kept it until AL was back on home soil. The next day, Elle went into our department and spoke to my other boss, an Army captain. I told him what had happened, and he said, "Leave it with me." He basically had a chat with him, and nothing came of it. I felt deflated and even more pissed off. That was until our senior military officer came into our department. He welcomed me back and asked how my tour was. Still pissed off, Elle said, "It was good, sir, with the exception of Sergeant Major Douchebag trying to get round my wife." He was, understandably, a little taken aback. About an hour or so later, he emailed me saying that he feels the need to do something official about this. Something I had forgotten was that the colonel and sergeant major belonged to the same regiment, so having one of his own behave like this had clearly gripped him. I told him the full story and provided screenshots of what Sergeant Major Douchebag had said to Mrs. von Scranhammer. For this to go official, my wife had to provide a statement. Unfortunately, Mrs. von Scranhammer is very non-confrontational and said she didn't want this to continue. I respected her wishes of not wanting to provide a statement, but hatched a plan that would be 3 years in the making. The timing is important. I emailed the colonel and said that Mrs. von Scranhammer has declined. However, I felt the need for some formal recognition, so Elle asked that Sergeant Major Douchebag write a letter of apology addressed to both my wife and Elle, which is to be signed and dated. This was granted, and I received said letter 2 days later. It said, "Lance Corporal and Mrs. von Scranhammer, I am writing this letter to you both to apologize for the torment and anxiety that you both must have felt from the messages that you received from my Facebook account. To Mrs. von Scranhammer, nobody should ever be in a situation where they worry about going to work because of who may come through the door, especially so when they have the added stress of a partner being operationally deployed at the time. The anguish that you must have felt at this time is immeasurable, and for this, I apologize. To Lance Corporal von Scranhammer, being operationally deployed is stressful enough without the added stress and worry about family back home. Support from home and loved ones is what carries many people through tough times whilst on tour. For any undue angst caused, I apologize. I regret any hurt and anguish caused by this issue and apologize, wholeheartedly and unreservedly, to you both. Signed, Shut my douchebag position, held. I now waited. I saw the rest of my time in Holland, moved back to the UK to my new base, and waited some more. Almost 3 years after I received the apology letter, I looked up Sergeant Major Douchebag's wife on Facebook. I had known the whole time we were out there that he was married. His wife lived back in the UK, and he has routinely tried to cheat on her. I sent her the same screenshot which I had sent to the colonel. I also, before leaving Holland, printed off the emails between the colonel and myself where I requested the apology letter. I blanked out the colonel's details and sent the pictures of that. And then lastly, I sent a picture of the apology letter, signed and dated by her husband, admitting what he had done. Once Elle saw she had read it, Elle blocked her, blocked Sergeant Major Douchebag and all his friends who had also been out in Holland at the same time. Why 3 years? I remember him saying, before he turned into a douchebag and tried it on with my wife, that he only had 3 years left to serve. If my timing was correct, he was months away for completing his 22 years and receiving a very nice pension. If his wife decided to go ahead with divorce, she would take half of said pension, which would essentially fuck him over for the rest of his life.